Hey guys, welcome back to the Eyes Project. One of the guys I look up to in this sort of space. It's a brand I've followed for a while, and I'm looking forward to interviewing him. Bro, the intro. Welcome to the Eyes Project. Like that, bro? Valentin Ozich, creative director and founder of I Love Ugly. What's up, bro?
What's up, man? I'm stoked to be on the show.
Bro, thank you. Obviously, just been talking a little bit off air, but been a fan of your brand for a long time. I remember all the pieces. I remember my very first I Love Ugly shirt. It had like a elastane. I understand fabric now. I had a elastane in it, and the first time I grabbed it, it was like this grey one, and it had this bit of a slit with a paisley. You know, remember that shirt?
Yeah, I never won.
Yeah. I know. I remember the first time I grabbed it, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I never had a shirt that was so stretchy. So I've been a fan for a long time. I've been following your content for a long time. I've tuned into all your sort of keynotes that you've done as well. So I'm really looking forward to this interview.
Appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And as I said, a real honor to be on the show. And to have someone abroad that's a fan. Once again, I'm very humbled.
Fuck, you're cool.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
So just a little bit off topic before talking about I Love Ugly. Supreme, they sort of sold for $2.1 billion. I've seen you reshare that on your story. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's phenomenal, and it really opens up the gates to what the possibilities are for streetwear brands. I think that, Supreme's the OG. They've been doing it for over 25 years. There's elements of their business model what I absolutely love and really try to apply to I Love Ugly. I actually just had a phone conversation before this with our former financial controller, and he was the financial controller at a company called Accent Group that owns the distribution rights to, Timberland, Vans, Jansport, I think it's Jansport, into Australasia. And he was saying that those guys are just peaking, and all of a sudden now they're actually starting to take notice of streetwear brands, especially vertically inclined streetwear brands. But yeah, man, that blew me away, because I know they sold James Gibbia, the owner, he sold 50% of it a couple of years ago for, I think, $500 million.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, phenomenal, man. But I think, it's exciting for me. It's exciting for you and any aspiring, clothing brand as well. So it's crazy times at the moment.
Even just to take a quarter of that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Oh, bro, absolutely, man. Even 5% of it.
Yeah, so I started looking at sort of the expansion plan off the back of it. They've only got sort of 12 retail stores. You talked about vertically inclined brand. Do you want to explain what that is? I understand what that is, but a lot of people wouldn't.
Definitely. So vertically is just basically direct to consumer. So you manufacture and do the design process in-house, and then as opposed to going through traditional methods through wholesale and distribution, you're selling straight to the consumer. And Supreme was they were one of the originators of that. And that's what I do. That's we did do a bit of distribution and wholesale, but it just complicated the shit out of our business model. It complicated my life, my headspace. And the moment we cut all that, it just all started to open up, the possibilities, and also just the margins. You get the money in your account straight away. You've got more money to play with. You get to control the whole process and experience for the customer, and you're not reliant on such and such brand such and such retailer
and payment terms and all that sort of shit, eh?
Absolutely, man. And they want they treat you like a bank. They want 60-day, 90-day terms. The margins are crap. They go on sale all the time. It's a tough road.
Yeah, you dropped the podcast last year, how to make $1 million selling clothes, and at the point where YKTR, we were already like long past that, but the amount of value I got out of that single podcast, and it was only like 15 minutes long, was like, one of the things you talked about was sort of inventory. You don't have too much or too less. And at the time, we had way too much inventory, and you said, "Oh, fuck up your cash flow for 6 months." And it, literally, I was just literally sitting around going, "Fuck, this guy, he's actually exactly spot on," and talking about like what I needed and right at the time. And bro, thank you for that podcast, because it actually changed our whole business model. We'll touch on your guys. Amazing. We'll touch on your business model a little bit later. I understand it now. We're kind of replicating it now with the weekly drops, but I do want to dive back into your story. Who are you? Where'd you grow up? All that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. So as you said in the intro, my name is Valentin Ozich. I'm a first generation New Zealander. My parents are Croatian immigrants. I'm one of six children. I grew up in the vineyard, 5 boys in my family. They're all 6'2" plus. I'm under 6 foot, so I'm like the small one of the family. I'm number 2, so they were ruthless, man. Like we were all ruthless, like ruthlessly honest, and I think that has taught me to be emotionally fit. I think as I've got older, because I can handle the truth, and we never leave anything. Never internalize anything. Everything's kind of put on the table, and I think it's a pretty healthy way to live. And then I grew up playing football. I wanted to be a professional soccer player. That was one of my goals. But then I always knew I had like a creative flair in me. So I started doing artwork and bits like that, and then I started to actually do a bit of music. Like believe it or not, I had a little rap group, independent, like little kind of niche rap group. And that taught me a lot, just how to kind of grab a product, package it, and market it. And then I actually found that part more enjoyable. And I knew that, a white guy from West Auckland behind the mic's probably not a very lucrative career. So I kind of canned that. And I took away all the skills that I learned from the marketing side of it. And then at university, I met a girl, and then within meeting her within 6 months, I met her, got her pregnant, but we didn't know until 6 months in. 3 weeks later, our daughter was born. So I had 3 weeks to prepare to be a dad, and she was 11 weeks premature as well, our daughter. So that flipped my life around. And then I was like, okay, time to get serious and grow up. Up until that point, I was working at a bank. I was picking T-shirts at AS Color. I was doing all sorts of stuff, but I hated it, And the daughter thing was a blessing in disguise. And now, my philosophy. I'm always asking myself, okay, what's the blessing here? And the blessing at that point, even though I didn't know it and I hated it at the time, the blessing was, okay, this child has forced me to actually get serious. I was only 22 at the time. And then I had this idea for I Love Ugly, and I just started putting my graphics, because I was an illustrator, putting graphics on the T-shirt, started to kind of pop off. And then I started experimenting with pants and cut and sew. And here I am, man. Yeah, that's the kind of like the nutshell and the last from when I was born to kind of the start of I Love Ugly.
That's a whole nother podcast in there in itself, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, bro. I'd love to write a book one day. And I think that's a pretty interesting start to the book.
So creatively, were you the kid that was always drawing on shit, or were you a painter, or you graffiti from a little kid out west? Or what were you doing?
I experimented with like street art, but not really more graphics, like crazy, interesting illustrations, and then paste ups. I was a big fan of Shepard Fairey and Dave Kinsey and Cause back in the day. And so I started doing that stuff. And then I actually started I Love Ugly, and I just had the words everywhere, even though I didn't know what the hell it was, but I felt that it had something kind of interesting here. So originally I Love Ugly was like street art, like a bit of an idea. And then I did like a magazine, and then I was like, fuck, this is like pulling teeth. And then that's from doing all that base work, it helped me get to where I am now. And that's like a lesson as well, right? A lot of people, they feel a bit down if they can't figure out exactly what they want. But sometimes the thing that isn't the thing will lead you to the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's by me doing all this shit, all these different things that led me to the thing. And right now, life's a journey, and I don't know where this next thing's going to take me as well.
Sort of rolling off the back of that, like, because I played like professional football as well, and like I used to always get injured. Like I had like ACL, it snapped my Achilles and sort of stuff like that. And when I look back on it now, it's like these are like, I was like, if I didn't get those injuries, I wouldn't be where I am now, because people were pushing me towards reading books, and I ended up reading like 100 books over the course of my football career. And by the time it gave me a broader perspective, and I know you're big on reading and self-education, it just made me just realize that there's more to life than just football, and I started to pursue something else, bro. And all those sort of dark times end up being the best times, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely, man. If you view it that way, and I think that anyone can, if they're willing to. But I agree, bro, 100%.
I Love Ugly, like those words, you're right, they do sound like really weird together. And obviously, like, I've been a supporter of the brand right now for a long time, so I'm kind of used to them now. But when I do say I Love Ugly to other people, that sort of stops them in the tracks, don't they? They're like,
definitely.
Where did the name come from? Like, how'd you come up with that?
It was pretty, at uni, and I'm not a massive advocate of uni as well, especially in the creative field. I think that a lot of just from the side note, a lot of the skills that you learn at uni, you can learn for free out in the field or by starting your own business or brand or whatever.
YouTube.
Anyway, that's YouTube, man. They are the best teachers, best lecturers, and it's free, or it's $10 for YouTube Premium. So basically at uni, we had to come up with a silly project to describe our art style, our graphic style in 3 words, and I Love Ugly just popped up. And I was like, that's pretty interesting, you know? And then I wanted to juxtapose it with a super clean aesthetic. And then when I wanted to do my brand, I was like, man, these words, you know, a lot of people found these words pretty intriguing, but sticky, but memorable. And if you have that juxtaposed with a super clean aesthetic, it's great. And also trademark wise as well, there's not many people that are going to have the word ugly in their brand name. So it was a bit of a breeze as well to trademark globally.
So when I look at I Love Ugly, you guys are always like super clean, super polished. You're quite consistent with all the models that you've used over the course of your time. You stick to your sort of silhouette and your blocks really, really well. I know you've sort of diverse into an oversized block at the moment, but it's always looks polished. And I know it's not always the case, but is that the vision for the brand?
Totally, bro. I'm a graphic designer. I studied graphic design. So I was obsessed with that. That's what my house is like. Offices try to be like that. Man, definitely. And like, you know, we try to portray like a very high end look, but at a very price pointed price. You know what I mean? So it's like that way people come into the brand and they feel that they're getting value. Even though we delve into streetwear, you know, I'd say that I wouldn't say we're a streetwear brand as such. I'd say we're a premium men's streetwear brand. And then that way, you know, when I first started, you know, I used to be a sneakerhead and this and that, but I was also obsessed with tailored wear and like, you know, proper menswear like coats and blazer jackets and things like that. And I really wanted to kind of fuse that into, say, streetwear. And all I wanted to do was put a contemporary twist on classics as well. So, the clean aesthetic, that was always, that's just what naturally came out for me. I was very obsessed with just keeping things clean and minimal and, you know what I mean? Just nice and simple. And I was inspired by Apple and, brands like that as well. And I thought that, because that's what it is, right? Like to create something unique, all you need to do is take an element of this and that, brands that you like here and here and here, and fuse it together. And then you create something unique. And I think that was how I Love Ugly's aesthetic was birthed. And it's also a journey as well. It's like you're constantly evolving, and you know that better than anyone. It's like, you know, you do something you're proud of today, and 6 months time, you can't even bear the sight of it because you've improved that much, and your eyes got sharper, and your taste has got better, and
one of the aspects I do love about your brand is the subtle details that you put into a lot of things, like subtle stitching. I had a wallet one time, had a little tag that flopped out and it said, "Don't spend all your money at once." What is all that? Is that just attention to detail that you sort of love, or?
Definitely. Well, I can't remember who said it, but one famous product designer said, "The details aren't the details of the design." And that was a bit of our mantra on, like, we had like a light box, like we have light box with quotes in all our stores, and we had that particular quote in our office. And after spending some time in Japan and just saw their attention to detail, that just stuck with me. And then I just started to think to myself, it's like, because I'm all for baking the marketing into the product. And what I mean by that is, if you can do something a little bit unorthodox and different and unique on, say, a button or the inside of a pocket bag, that's marketing, and you're baking it into the product, and people are going to share that, they're going to Instagram it, they're going to upload it to whatever social channels, and that just got me obsessed with details. And I think that what I always say as well is, like, you know, nowadays people have options, consumers have options for 100 white t-shirts. Why are they going to buy I Love Ugly over the rest? It's because of a detail, and it's also because of the way we make them feel. You know, it's the brand that we're creating, the persona, all the messaging in the podcast, you know, the aspirational lifestyle. And if you pair that with amazing quality and just details that a lot of other brands just look over, you're unique. And it's just like, people are going to ask themselves, okay, I got to be foolish to go shop with another brand. And that's what we try to do as well. Just make them, once they shop with us, we keep them forever.
That's awesome. We'll touch on marketing because it's an aspect of business that's probably my favorite. And obviously I've heard you talk a lot about it, and this conversation is always sort of leading back in towards marketing. But when you sort of started out and you start to go on like buying trips, and you've just talked about Japan, do you want to talk about like kind of what a buying trip is, more so for the inspo side of it, places you hit up, and And is it always about clothes, or is it about sitting in the street and fucking like for me, for example, I go to Soho in New York, I go to South Korea, I go to Seoul, and sometimes I just grab a coffee sitting on the street, and that's where some of the best ideas come from. But what does that design process look like for you?
Totally, man. Like, I'm not like, I didn't do it all the time, but when I did do it, it was massively impactful. So what I do is, like, when I went to Japan, I'd usually go to Japan for 1 or 2 days. Mainly, it was Tokyo before I'd go to China to go to the fabric markets and visit my suppliers. And what that meant for me was exactly what you said, bro. I just watch the streets, and I actually felt the most inspiration came from what people were wearing on the streets rather than what was in shops. Because what was in shops was already the boiled down version of what people had seen on the streets. So I kind of wanted to go one step above and just actually saw what people were wearing on the street. And honestly, that's where I got the idea for the Zesty Pan in Amsterdam. You know, I was in Amsterdam and I was, high. I think it was years ago. I didn't do that.
Hey, legal over there. It's legal over there, bro. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. It's legal. I was just getting involved in the culture, you know. And I went to Amsterdam and I just saw this dude. He was like this, just this dude, man, African American dude or whatever he was, and he was just immaculately dressed, man. And he was like wearing this like tailored coat and these like tailored pants and that cropped and the seam seal on the front. And I was like, damn, imagine that. But if I just extend it a little bit and made it so it kind of tapered at the ankles, boom, the Zesty Pan was birthed, you know. Came back, tried like 15 different samples to get it right. And we got it right. And every time I went to a shop, since it's like on a rack, you can't really see the clothing in its real form and in context. And I feel that, you know, buying trips for me weren't actually going to shops. They were going onto the streets and doing what you said, just grabbing a coffee and just watching for 5 hours, seeing what people were doing and getting immersed in the culture. And that's where I learned the most, you know, that and just Instagram and all those platforms. Although nowadays I struggle just because of time. I can't really immerse myself in that stuff. So we're actually looking for for those listening, we are looking for a design assistant, menswear design assistant to help with that type of stuff. But yeah, going to places, you know, even Auckland as well, you know, there's a lot of steezy cats as well. And, you just look around, see what they're wearing, the way they wear the hat, what are they pairing together, you know?
I say that a lot, like a lot of people, obviously Australians don't really go to New Zealand in March, and they always ask what Auckland's like, and they've got this weird like connotation about it. I was like, nah, Auckland's like very fashion forward, very similar to Melbourne, where like because of the weather, you can start to layer up stuff and like start to piece stuff together. And I got into shoes when I was living in Auckland. I had a pair of Jordan 5s on one time. Went to Ponsonby Social Club, and like these girls come up, they're like, oh, I didn't think you were into kicks. I didn't even know what they were, but that was sort of my light bulb moment for me. I was like, oh shit, I better start learning about shoes because it's going to get me girls. And like you cruise around Ponsonby and that, and like some really cool people around there, aren't there?
Definitely, man. Definitely. I agree. It's like there's tons of little creative hubs. Like we use, you know, a bunch of guys where we outsource to as well, and they're steezy cats, you know, they live and breathe it. I'm 35, you know, I'm running the company, I've got 3 kids. I don't really have time to only primarily live and breathe fashion. You know, it's like an aspect of what I do, but it's not my primary focus. So I think that by going around to these places, you just get a real good snapshot of what's going on. And Auckland is that, I think.
Yeah, and like really good food and spots around there as well. But I was just trying to, like for me, I've said this publicly a lot of times. Like I like clothes, but it's not my underwhelming passion. I think I enjoy business a lot bit more. When did you feel that transition happen for you?
It happened when, so obviously I was always drawn to business. You know, when I came out of uni, I couldn't get a job, and then I started I Love Ugly, and then I just jumped into it. You know, I didn't know anything, but what I did have is vision. And I think vision is, if you've got vision, it's going to drive passion, and it's going to drive you to figure out exactly what you need to learn. And then what I really found is once I got an order from ASOS, it was ASOS Premium, which is like the premium version. I don't know if it's still around. They placed like a 30 grand order. And I was like, okay, damn, this has legs. But in order to actually make this thing bloom into fruit, like, you know, to really, for my vision to come clear, I need to learn business, man. I need to learn like structure and finance and process and this and that. But also at the same time, I actually knew to learn how to have partnerships and people. So at that point, I got a business partner. He's no longer with me now. But I learned a lot of business from him, and we just learned off each other. But I think that my real passion for business came 3 years ago when I went through all that shit. I nearly went bankrupt, and you know a lot about that story. I had to pay back, nearly $750,000 in a month. We overexpanded. I had stores in LA, I had stores in Melbourne, Sydney. I had deals, licensed deals, all teed up in South Korea. Things was going gangbusters. And then when it went to shit, I had to ask myself, I was like, okay, it's not the brand or the marketing or the product that was broken. It was the business side of it was broken. And I was like, you're always drawn to things that you're good at when things are bad. And I was always going back to product. I was like, okay, I'm going to design my way out of this problem. But then I'd keep having the same problem. And I was like, okay, it's not the product that's broken, it's the business side of it. So I just had to quickly develop a business acumen and a passion for it, and just kind of like re-look at it, reskin it in a way where I can make it creative and I can make it how I want it to be. And that's what birthed my passion for business. And business is like, if you've got the foundational business skills, you can go anywhere and you can do whatever the heck you want in this life. And I think that's all creatives need to learn that.
You talked about, we'll touch on a lot of these things here, but first of all, like partnership, when you sort of let someone, you let them buy into the company after 8 months, is that right?
Yeah, 8 or 9 months.
Yeah. So what do you look for in a partner? If you're creative, do you look for the complete opposite, or do you look like for a sort of jack of all trades? What's your opinion on forming a partnership?
I think partnerships are great. Just like, I don't know if you're married or if you've got a girlfriend or anything, it's like life's better when you've got a partner to share moments with. And when you're feeling like shit, you can lean on this person. And I think the same is said with business. There's anomalies. Like I've got a friend that, he just sold a portion of his company. It's like $110 million business. And he done it up to that point by himself. He's an anomaly. He's like a phenomenal businessman, phenomenal man. He's a lot older than me. But he did that. And I think it's like, you get to a point in business and you're like, okay, from what I know has got me this far, and what do I need now to go to the next level? And I think it's like, if there's certain skills that you don't want to learn or you shouldn't learn because it's not what you're good at, I think it's the time where you should get a partner, and that partner should be complementary in the skills that you don't have. That's what I believe. And say, for example, like I brought out the business in 2017 for my previous partner. I did it a year by myself, hustling, scratching, trying to do all the operational stuff. And bro, that's not my passion. I suck at it, and it was draining me.
It drains you. When you're doing stuff you don't want to do, it fucking drains you.
It drains you, man. And then I was like, man, I need someone. But firstly, it's like all comes down to the question you ask yourself, right? That's going to give you the quality answer. It's like, who do I need? What do I need to do to go to the next level? What's causing me stress? You write it down, and it's like, bang, all right, sweet. I need an operational dude. I need someone that's a little bit more commercially minded. And then I found my now business partner, Nick, who, he's a minority shareholder of Isle Ugly. Bro, game changer, because it frees me up. So he's passionate about all the stuff I'm not. And it's all the stuff that we need in the business, because it's a foundation to grow my ideas and grow the company's ideas and vision on top of. And it's like, if you don't do that, man, you're just like, you're 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
I feel like when you start to lead a company, you do need those, like, those operational people that actually get a kick out of doing all that stuff. But you do need that time away to sit there and think about ideas and sort of move forward. And like I take days off sometimes, just go sit by the beach. And that's where your best ideas and that come from, isn't it?
Absolutely, bro. Like, that old saying, it's like, you got to work on your business, not in it. And man, as a leader, like, I'm all for, you're working on 2 types of businesses. You're working on the business you're in now, today, and you also got to be working on the business what you need to be in 12 months time. And in order to work on that business, you need to take those times away from the work, from the busyness, from the chit chat, from the now business, and you need to think big and bold. And like, in order to do that, you need to clear your schedule, and you need to like lock in time, thinking time. There's an amazing business guy I listen to, which I don't know if you've heard of, called Keith Cunningham. And he's amazing, bro. So I actually heard him at Tony Robbins' Business Mastery, which was a 5-day business course. And he talks about thinking time, and you clear your schedule, and you schedule in time simply to think. And you ask yourself questions, and it's all about thinking, like looking on the business. Like the biggest innovations and breakthroughs I've had in my business have come from those thinking sessions, asking really good questions, clearing my schedule, digging deep, asking, stupid stuff that's like fucking crazy, that people would deem crazy, but it forces you to think big, think bold, and it all comes from time away.
What's the weirdest question you've asked yourself?
Weirdest question I've asked myself is, how can I get every single man on this planet wearing I Love Ugly? It's like crazy, right? But the thing is it forces you to think deep and, go for crazy answers. And, obviously, I probably won't achieve that goal, but, shoot for the stars and get to the moon, right?
So you sort of talked about when you owed the bank $750,000. How did you go about that? I know how you've already done it. We've had a similar story where we owed a supplier like $500,000 at like halfway through this year, and we got through it pretty quick. So I enjoyed those lessons, and we moved into a new supply chain off the back of it. But I want to hear your side of it and sort of how you approached your staff and the email. I remember getting the email from you guys. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I've been on this whole journey with you, bro.
That's awesome, bro. How do you approach it? First thing you got to tell yourself is never to give up. Because the thing is, it's like the moment you tell yourself like, fuck, this probably isn't going to work, and it's not going to work. If you tell yourself and you convince yourself that you're not going to give up, you're going to get through this, you'll make it work. You'll figure it out. You'll become resourceful. So that's the first thing I told myself. And man, any sane person would deem you an idiot for continuing. It's like you had owed $500,000 to a supplier. The most logical thing to do is quit. But us as entrepreneurs and people that want to fulfill our visions, we're not normal. We are crazy. We're abnormal. You know what I mean? So you got to tell yourself like, I'm not going to quit. And then from there is tell the truth. And the thing is like, I don't know if you know the story, but I went to the bank and they gave me the letter, and I was walking up the little driveway to our office, and I was going to tell them a lie. I was just going to tell the team like, just some bullshit, And
did you cry? Did you cry when you got that letter? Did you cry or anything? Or
nah, I didn't cry. I actually felt alive. Like I was like, it almost like electrified me, which I don't know what that was. I think it got my attention. Finally, it's like, okay, you guys have been fucking up for this long. Now I've got your attention. It's like we're calling it in, boys. And but I came into the office when I was walking up, and I was going to tell the lie, and what came out was the truth. And I thought everyone was going to run for the hills, but everybody was 100% supportive of me because they knew the truth, and I was transparent, and I showed an element of vulnerability from a leader, which what a lot of leaders don't do, but the good leaders do. And then from there, it's like, okay, let's tell the customers, because there's all these murmurs and rumors and all this stuff. So we had to put them to, we had to just shut them up by telling them the truth. And that was the start of the journey to crawl out of it. Just being vulnerable, telling the truth, and telling yourself that you ain't going to give up, and you're going to do whatever the hell is necessary to kind of get through this little roadblock. And then one thing I asked myself was like, okay, what's great about this problem? What's the opportunity in this problem? And the answer I got from that was, okay, V, time to simplify. Time to cut all this distribution, all this wholesale, all this fancy shit. Stop focusing on the stuff that looks impressive, but it's not important. Just start focusing on the important stuff, I was driving a nice car, mean house, big salary, all this bullshit. And the thing is, it made me look fucking good and fancy and impressive, but it actually didn't do anything. All it did was making me broke. So I got rid of all that stuff and just went back to basics, went to work, rolled up my sleeves, and just like humbled the shit out of me, man. It stripped away my ego. And I was just like, all right, man, it's just time to build, man. I'm not in this for ego. I'm not in this at all for ego. Like, because the thing is, ego just gets me into trouble. I'm in this to actually make an impact and make my dent into the world.
So you sort of talked about ego and all that sort of stuff there. There was a time where I've heard you talk about you guys were starting to fly. I think it was around 2014, and started throwing parties, and obviously the expansion. Yeah. And I used to shop at the I Love Ugly store down in Pitt Street underneath, down on the bottom. So it's only natural to think like I've done well to get us to this point. Like I just want to take it to the next step. Like. Is that a bad philosophy to have for us down here in New Zealand, or was it just, I don't know. I don't know how I'm trying to answer this, but
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, because we all know that whole tall poppy syndrome, right? And it's like if you do well, you're almost ashamed to tell people. Stylebender, man, he's amazing. Like he people call him arrogant, bro. That dude's got every right to be arrogant. What he's achieved and his mindset and his work ethic, bro, that guy earns like every ounce of respect from me. Because, you know, he trains hard and he's a success. People say it's tall poppy syndrome, and he put up that clip what we posted, I can't remember when, maybe a few months ago, 6 months ago, just about tall poppy syndrome. And the culture needs to change. Like, we do need to celebrate the people that are succeeding, and we need to birth a culture where success is a good thing. And like, the thing is, what I'm saying is, it wasn't bad that I had the fancy stuff, but what I was doing is, that's all I was focusing on. I was so focused on my ego and looking impressive, and I was doing that at the sacrifice of all the foundational business stuff. And the thing is like, you know, having a nice car, nothing wrong with it, man. A nice house, absolutely. The thing is, if you're doing that and you're not investing in a financial, you're doing that at the expense of investing into a financial controller, or an amazing demand planner to help you with your stock, or just working on your balance sheet, that's just stupid. That's stupidity. So it's just kind of flipping it all around. You know what I mean? I don't know. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, 100%. Because I'm kind of in that phase now, and like I do multiple things, and like obviously getting like multiple streams of revenue is starting to really help now. And like I'll still drive the same car that I come in, but it's off the back of like listening to conversations with people like you. And you sort of realize, like I had a guy on here yesterday, like that guy Mark Boris, and I said, what do you feel like when you sold your company for 500 million? He goes, I felt nothing. Like he was in New York, and he goes, it didn't make me happy. I come back, I bought like one watch and a car, and since 2005, he's driven like 7,000 Ks on that car. He goes, I just wanted to start my new company. And like, I hear those types of stories, and obviously hearing it from you as well. Yeah. Bro, it doesn't mean shit, all that material stuff.
Totally, man. Like, it makes you feel good for the moment and you get the dopamine hit, but honestly, bro, it's not until you live in the $1 million house and you drive the $50,000 car and you got the nice sneakers and the nice watch, and it's not until you lose it all, which I did, and then you're forced to live in a granny flat with 3 kids for 18 months to recuperate financially, like I did.
Yeah.
And then you're driving I had to drive a shitty $2,000 car from my sister-in-law. That's how near broke I was. And that stripped away everything, and actually made me realize, man, all that other fancy stuff, the only person that was actually really like making me feel good for that moment was me. You know what I mean? You look cool or rich or successful to other people, but at the end of the day, man, people have their own shit going on, and they don't really care about what's going on in your life.
Nah, no one in the world.
100%. But man, I'm still striving. I'm still hungry. I still want the nice house and nice car and things like that. And I'm rebuilding it, but I'm doing it smart, and I'm doing it so it's sustainable.
Yeah. Like I studied a lot of people that talk about wealth and sort of stuff like that. And like they always say, like, never talk bad about money and have a great relationship with money and all that sort of type of stuff as well. So just off the back, we're not bagging these things, but we just know that these things aren't going to necessarily make you happy as well.
Yeah.
Is that
fair?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, bro. Let's sorry.
Anyone can get a car on tick, you know? And
on tick. Marketing is probably the subject that I want to talk to you most about. A lot of the stuff the thing I loved about your marketing, and we'll go back to the Zipsy pants. Am I saying it? Zispy, sorry. I remember buying a pair at the Mount, trying them on. Geez, they're hard to get up the stairs and stuff like that. Yeah, and I remember the card that come with it. And like you guys have always sort of owned up to that. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about your jewelry collection when you guys done a. We'll talk about. So do you want to talk about the strategy behind those marketing plans, and then for the backlash off the back of them, and then how you sort of reacted off the back of that?
Totally, man. I'm a believer that, especially and you can do this anything, and I learned this off Apple, is actually making a brand off a product. And they did it with the white headphones, and they created like this whole brand. It's like, man, people wanted to buy Apple products just to get those white headphones, like those white little.
I remember the marketing, because they always had like a black shadow person, and then they had the white cords.
Yeah. And they had all the musicians and whatnot, and I was just like, when the Zespy came out, which was like the low crotch, which was like the trend back in the day. I was like, man, we've got to create a brand around this thing. And then people bought them, would sell out 150 pairs, and then 200 pairs, and then 500 pairs in 24 hours. the biggest complaint would be like, man, I love these pants, but I can't walk in them. And so we were like, okay, well, let's just like make our mess our message. And we just made this like comical YouTube video. So it's my boy Mo back in the day. He's now based in New York, and he just made this funny video about trying to walk upstairs in Zespies. And it created a cult following around it, around the actual product itself. And then that was the gateway product to get people into the brand. And I think it's real important, creating a brand around a product, and that way it kind of fits under the umbrella of the of I Love Ugly. And then we did that with our 5-panel hats with the crazy patterns, which I went sourcing all across China to get. I went to upholstery shops and curtain shops to get fabrics, the buzziest, craziest fabrics. And then and then I think that was it. And once again, kind of baking your marketing into the product as well, which I was talking about earlier, like little quirks and little features that people want to share. And that was kind of it. And then in terms of a ring campaign, and so just to kind of retell the story, is for those that didn't see it or don't know about it, is like I asked myself, it's like, hey, how can I make these rings sell out? And then I was like, there's certain elements in marketing that really get people going, which is, I think it's like education, it's shock value, it's making people cry or making people sad, and there's another one I can't remember off the top of my head. And for this one, for the rings, I was like, okay, I want to make people shocked. I want to sell these things out. We had $1,000, $2,000 ring. It's like, okay, let's get a naked woman and get a fully clothed guy with rings on it, kind of covering her parts. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, bro. Like looking back, I was just a young, dumb idiot. But I was trying, I was trying to do stuff, put stuff out there. And we did it, and I was like, for nothing of it, I had big balls back then. I'd try anything, do anything to kind of get I Love Ugly on the map. Next minute, bro, viral. New York Times, the Daily News in the UK. It was all over Aussie, all over NZ. It was on every single radio show and news show in the country. We had the biggest traffic day, 50, 100,000 people visiting our site. But what came with it was a whole bunch of people coming in there were anti-feminists, like all this stuff, and diabolical, man. And it actually stressed me out like big time. And I was like, bro, this is the wrong way to do it. So we had to put up a formal apology. We had the ad, I can't remember the term, but the ad commission that kind of monitors ads that go out. Basically, we were going to get like a big fine. We had to pull the ad. But basically, it's like I had to, once again, it's like, hey, the way I had to rectify the issue was putting out like a formal statement. Apology. And it just taught me not to. I think nowadays it's real dangerous to do stuff like that. That's super controversial, that can put your whole brand and business in jeopardy. And the old saying, can take 20 years to build a brand, and it can take one bad move, 5 minutes to ruin it. And that was nearly, I dodged a nuclear bomb then. And I think that it's just like, just don't need to do that stuff. It's actually harder to do something that's impactful, that causes the same amount of attention. And that's how I kind of got into this whole like aspirational element. And we released that campaign, the Generations campaign, and we got a whole bunch of old guys talking about all their regrets, and we got wearing I Love Ugly, and a whole bunch of young guys talking about all their dreams and aspirations. And I was like, this fits with sits well on my soul. And this actually, it's not going to get the huge spike, but I think it's actually going to impact people's lives in a positive way, rather than, telling a whole bunch of disgust, making people feel disgusted and all this stuff. And the stupid thing is we get a lot of mothers and girlfriends and wives shopping with us, buying for their partners and things like that. So why the hell would we risk it? Or why would we, offend those people? Yeah, it's stupidity.
Hey, a bit of a lesson learned. All I'm thinking about is that 150,000 people coming online with a 1 to 3 conversion rate on e-commerce. Like, that would have been all right, mate. It would have been a good day.
Yeah, it was a bittersweet day, man. I learned a lot.
Obviously, like I'm big into marketing, and I just see our brand as a bit of a knockabout brand as well. And like humor's played a big part for us. So one of the biggest, I will tell you a story. So we dropped a denim jacket with the sheepskin in it. sheep fur on the inside, like pretty much like everyone had. And like we were sort of we weren't claiming that we were the first one, but we used to go around and go, oh, like not the fake YKTR jacket. And it kind of caught viral. So everyone was going around, and as soon as anyone got one from JJ's, or bro, it could have been a Subi jacket, like who knows, could have been like an $800 jacket. Everyone just seemed to video it. And we turned it into a marketing campaign, and all our jackets like flew out in like 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Marketing's fun, because like a lot of people don't like those things you sort of touched on, shock value. Humor's a big one. Like if you can make someone laugh, you can sort of make them do a lot of things, eh?
Definitely, man. Definitely. Like look at Kevin Hart, you know, he's built his whole career, and I think he's a marketing genius, funny guy on stage. He kind of brings that into real life. And but people are drawn into him because of his humor. Because like people like funny people, you know what I mean? Like we all know that funny dude. He's just a likable guy. You want to spend time with him because laughter and humor makes you feel good, and people want to be around people that make them feel good.
100%. All right, so Kith is one of my favorite brands. The thing I love about them is their collaboration built into their calendars. You guys have done some pretty cool collaborations. I didn't realize that painting was meant to be for that Van shoe, which would have hurt. But like obviously like Jansport, you've done like a Bailey Nelson one. Like, have you always seen collabs as a big part of Why Love Ugly, and are you going to continue to do them moving forward? And what is your favorite collab you've done so far?
Yeah, absolutely. Collabs are massive, and but they take so long as well, you know, because you're usually working with like big companies, and these big companies have like big timelines as well. But I think in terms of collaborations, I'd recommend them to anyone and everyone. You know what I mean? They open your audience up to new audiences, and you also get opened up to the person you're collaborating with, their audience as well. It also forces you to think a little bit differently and create something unique. And you also have an opportunity to put your handprint and your DNA onto another product. And I think that's what we did with Onitsuka Tiger. You know, that's a subsidiary of Asics. That was pretty cool. You know, we got super conceptual with it within North Island, South Island, and the different kind of elements and things like that. Jansport as well, same thing. And they actually had the president of Jansport, he was in Auckland. He told us that due to our approach to simplicity and stripping back everything that you don't need, it actually helped reinvigorate the way they view their products and the kind of design principles which they apply to their products as well.
Like the ad campaign for that Jansport one was like one of my favorite ones that you guys done, sort of cruising through. I love the fabric on it, that dark grey, and I see that everywhere now. And you guys were the first. In my opinion, you guys were the first to do it. But bro, that was sick.
Yeah, man, and it was pretty simple, right? We just grabbed a pre-existing silhouette and just stripped it back and added like a felt fabric, woolen felt fabric, and just played with the label, and then just did a dope campaign around it. And it's like we're catering to the creative entrepreneur, the photographer, the drawer, the designer, the beat maker. Like that was who we made that backpack for, and I think we portrayed that pretty well through the ad campaign. But I think collabs, man, amazing. I think, like, in my opinion, Kith, they probably do it a little bit too much.
I can agree with that. Yeah,
they do. The one they did with BMW and stuff I think it was super innovative. Super dope. But I think the way I like to look at it, it's like make it novel. Do it if you can do it once a quarter or even once a year. We haven't done anything for a while, just mainly because of COVID. We had a few things kind of teed up. We were in talks with Reebok and things like that, and just those guys got slammed with COVID just because of their whole distribution networks and things like that. So they put a lot of stuff on hold. But yeah, it's something that we constantly kind of got in the pipeline, working in the background. I think even like this, this is collaborative in the sense where you and me, we're jamming ideas, we're giving value to both audiences. We're creating unique conversations. You and me are probably going to come away with this with different ideas and how to approach our days and our companies different. Collaborative. Yeah, it's like a pretty, people have been doing it for years in different shapes and form. But I think in terms of like clothing and streetwear, I think it's amazing. It's an amazing tool.
You talk about like over collabing. I do believe in, like, I remember Antisocial Social Club. Like I remember when they first dropped, but they just collabed with everyone. It's just kind of like half tacky now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
But love to break into that China market though.
Oh yeah, bro, it's insane, the numbers, right? Like I was listening to this thing. I think it was on the Gary Vee audio show. I haven't listened to him for a while, and I just started listening to him again last week just because I'm heading into that crazy marketing season. And he was saying it was some influencer in China that generated something like $600 million of revenue for that particular product for a live stream, only in China. You know what I mean? Only in China can that happen. Phenomenal, man. It's an amazing market.
So we'll talk about business model right now. So when I first come into it, one of our old supplier actually goes, I pay attention to what I Love Ugly do. And our old business model was we used to drop sort of every 8 weeks, and we'd drop our whole collection right at the start and then sort of map it all out and then sort of 6 to 7 weeks, go on sale, try and get rid of the stock and move it on. Do you want to explain traditionally what it was like, and then what you guys do today? Like you drop Tuesday, Thursday, but what was it like back in the day compared to now?
Yeah, back in the day, it was somewhat traditional, and that's because we didn't know any better, so we just stuck to the rules of the game. And then we quickly figured out that Deb, I think I'm wanting you, so you can probably go there. Sorry, bro. We quickly figured out that every time we dropped a product, we'd get a huge spike in interest and sales. And then we were like, why are people dropping coats, winter coats in the middle of summer? It doesn't make sense. Traditionally, that's how fashion's always done. So we're like, well, we're not going to do that. We're just going to drop coats when it's cold, and we're going to drop shorts when it's warm. And so we started doing that, and we're like, why don't we just start doing monthly collections, like bang on the season monthly collections? Went real well. And then it was like, fuck, why don't we, especially when I fully took over a few years ago, it's like, well, why don't we just do this every week? And now why don't we do this twice a week? So a lot of people probably think it's fast fashion, but it's not fast fashion, because we still put the same focus and emphasis on our products as we would, as a company would doing a 6-month collection, but it's just the way we release it. That's our point of difference. That's our X factor. And we still do limited drops. We'll do 150, 200 pairs of shorts in a particular color, and they sell out. And people want a restock, but we're not going to do it. So we'll force them to buy the next thing. And we just do that every Tuesday, Thursday. And our whole business model and internal structure is geared up around that. And which forces us to go at a pace where I think a lot of companies can't keep up with. They're like, what do you guys must have a massive team and this and that. We don't. We just focus on we just focus on structure and just seamless. Just make sure it's seamless. And yeah.
Sorry, how much of your business is like core products that you always have in stock year round? Do you have that, or are you just always like seasonal, like drop? Because
We're about 60% of our sales are always just black hoodie, black t-shirt, black pants. That stuff's always in stock. So we've got like a core offering, which makes up probably about 60% of our offering as well, and that stuff's just always in stock, constant. Yeah, because the thing is like guys are pretty simple, right? They'll grab that hot stuff. Yeah. But end of the day, they're always going to wear a black tee. They're always going to wear a white tee, a black hoodie. They're always going to wear black socks. So we're just going to make sure that we've always got that stuff in stock. And that's where the importance, especially in fashion, that you have like a demand planner or a merchandise manager. And that's their primary focus, is just stock, the management of stock. Not what it looks like, but actual keeping the good stuff in. Because that's where you can get, that's where we got our massive growth as well in the last few years. It's just focusing on that core product, making sure that it's always in stock, making sure that our size curves are correct. And a lot of people are looking for that silver bullet. So I'll make the dopest new t-shirt with the crazy pattern, and that's going to make my business blow up. Yeah, we'll probably make you blow up for that one day, but what happens when it comes out? It's that backbone, foundational business, always in stock stuff that's going to make you have a sustainable business.
Right, this will, because we've never really always had a core product in range, and it's not till like I've always heard about it, but I'm like, nah, just always wanted to keep it like new stuff. And this is the second time that I've heard in 2 weeks about getting a planner. Do you know the Inky boys? Do you know? Nah, remember a brand called Vanishing Elephant?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, they're big time, eh? So they've got an office 2 doors down, and they said the exact same thing. Like, if you want to scale and get your business fundamentals down pat, you need a good planner.
Oh, for sure, bro. Absolutely. And the thing is like the reason you probably didn't care about it is because it's boring. You know what I mean? business is supposed to be boring. And the thing is like we make it complicated because it makes it more fun and exciting, but we kind of do it at the expense of just, at the expense of what's working. And
makes us feel smarter too, when it's like try and make a complex thing. I figured this out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, complexity is the enemy of execution, and I think the more complex you make it, the harder it's going to be to execute, and then you're not going to follow through with it, and you're going to run into problems.
So we talked about sort of like buying trips or inspo trips that we talked about before. You guys are quite fashion forward in terms of your, in my opinion, with the types of designs that you drop. Like you guys drop really unique designs. Is it important not to be too far ahead of the trend? Do you know what I mean? So, and try and be on trend. Like how do you balance that? Does your core product look after that, and then you guys try and push the brand forward with these new designs and stuff like that? Is that how it works?
Yeah, definitely. A prime example of that is, our Kobe pant and our Slim Kobe pant, which is our crop pant. Now it's one of our best selling pants. 4 years ago when we released it, after I went to Japan, which every cat was wearing, we were way too ahead of the curve. So we just basically, put it on ice, excuse the pun. And, just kind of like, just did that. And we just waited. Because the thing is like, you can do the right thing in the wrong time, and it's the wrong thing to do, right? Timing is everything. So you got to understand trends and markets and things like that, watching what other people are doing, seeing what people on the ground are doing, going out on the street, seeing what they're wearing, things like that. But for us, we're a 12-year-old brand now. So I kind of just know intuitively, you know what I mean? But at the same time, if you kind of back intuition with actual studying data, and basically data tells you the truth. There's no emotions involved in data. So the thing is like, and it goes back to that whole demand planner, like, they'll be like, oh, we need to do more black hoodies or whatever. And you're like, nah, that shit's boring. People don't wear that. People doesn't sell. She's like, well, like, look at it. It's driving 80% of our sales. And you're like, interesting. And then it's almost like, being creative based off the facts as well. So kind of going back to your point is like, for us, it's like, we try to push the boat out. We're kind of like, we're not middle road. We're not high end. I'd say we're 3/4. So what I mean by that is we're not super fashion forward. But the thing is like, we're aware of what's going on in the fashions, and we just time it. We try to make our timing perfect. And the thing is like, when you're at a level, and you'll kind of get to this as the brand gets older, when you're at a level and you nail, when you time the trend perfectly, you can sell thousands, tens of thousands of that unit before anybody's caught up or cottoned on to what's going on.
So we're obviously being around here, like we're the block that we're in, we've got a lot of fashion brands around us, like Tiger Lily, Sass and Bide. Like Tiger Lily kind of just gone out of like business, like they've gone into liquidation. Really? And bro. And like Sass.
Were they owned by Billabong?
I think so. And like, because Sass and Bide around here, obviously got to know the P Nation girls and stuff as well. And they always talk about like a life cycle of a brand. And then they talk, like a lot of them talk about Subi. They go through like different cycles of it. Have you been able to maintain, and what does the future look like for I Love Ugly?
Absolutely, man. That's a great question. It kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about you're in two businesses, the business you're in today and the business you need to be in. And the thing is like, if you're anticipating change to happen, you're already starting to make the moves before that change happens, rather than reacting to it when it does happen. And the thing is like the Tiger Lilies, the reason they're out of business is because they didn't pivot. They didn't evolve to what the times were doing. They were probably stuck in the old-fashioned model of distribution and wholesale. And COVID happened, the whole world's on lockdown. Your business is kaput. You're done. Unless you're actually focused on digital. And the thing is like, to reinvent yourself, you have to have awareness. You have to be reading, an insatiable hunger to learn. The chokehold of any business is the leader and the owner. And the thing is if you or me aren't developing and figuring out what the next thing is, when that thing happens and we're not prepared, we're doomed. But I think for like life cycles of brands, it's like, for us is I want I Love Ugly to be a legacy brand, a heritage brand, a classic brand, like a Stussy, a Supreme, a Nike. And the thing is when you got that in mind, you're not exhaustingly chasing every trend, because that's exhausting. It's going to wear you down. And the thing is, if that's your number one gimmick, if you miss it, you're doomed. And that's the thing. It's like, if you create your own niche, your own segment of a market, what is the value and what is the problem that you're trying to solve for your customers? If you're constantly asking yourself that question and trying to solve that problem, you don't really need to be reinventing yourself all the time, because you're just sticking to your lane and people are going to keep coming back to you like McDonald's because you're consistent. You know, McDonald's is a shitty product, but yet they've withstanded everything. You know, it's if you eat that stuff every day, you're going to die. You're going to get sick. Yet they're still in business and they're thriving. Why? You know, you got to ask yourself why. Shit product, yet they're still thriving. It's because they got the systems down pat, and it's because they're constantly innovating. And now they're like pivoting to this health movement, and you know, apples instead of fries, water instead of Coke. Like, you know what I mean?
Vegan burgers.
Yeah, exactly, man. Constant and never improvement and just innovation needs to be the backbone of your business, and you'll be working on that constantly, you know, constantly insatiable hunger to learn, things like this. Listening to things like this, man, that's the way to do it. So there's no magic pill and the magic answer, but I think for Subis and stuff like that, I think that with those guys, man, is like, from what I hear from people, it's like they just didn't have the basics 101 down pat, you know. And
I've heard that as well. Like, I think a lot of them wanted to be DJs as well. So
yeah, man,
all that sort of shit. So they took the eye off the golden goose.
Definitely, bro. Definitely. You never take your eye off the golden goose, man, because it'll stop laying. So, and it's the boring shit, man, like financial controller. So you've got that balance sheet and you've got big cash reserves. So once you hit with like a lockdown and everything shuts down, you can withstand that storm. You're not forced to liquidate everything on sale at the detriment of the brand or the brand equity which you've built over the years. You can weather the storm. You know, you've got that king's ransom, and that's all the boring stuff, but the important stuff. So, and that's when you can actually start focusing on future stuff and the long term, thinking long term, man. Just long term. I can't emphasize that enough.
So when money comes in, do you set a certain amount to the side into your like war chest, and is it backed up between like 12, 18 months of like cash flow there? How do you do that?
Yeah, essentially we watch, so of our in-house accountant, she updates the cash flow forecast twice a day. So in the morning and in the evening, you know, midday-ish, and I'm watching it like a hawk, and we're just making sure that I've got the reserves, I've got the buffer in place, got the number in place, and we don't go anything underneath that. And then so, you know, building that balance sheet as well. So we've got enough equity in the company that if anything happens, you know, if our suppliers stop or anything like that, we can weather the storm. And I'm not perfect at all by any stretch of imagination, but at the same time, I'm focused on it because I know that things are going to happen. I know that there's going to be some roadblocks. I know that things are going to fall off the boat. There'd be a fire. We get robbed. Whatever. We're alive, right? When you're alive, problems are just going to be throwing themselves at you left, right, and center. So you just got to prepare for them. And that's where it's real important to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are.
And sort of having a cash reserve there to not obviously weather problems, that's a great part of it, but to sort of exploit opportunities as well, isn't it?
Yeah, bang on, bro. Absolutely.
So how is I Love Ugly looking to grow? Are you just going to double down on everything you're doing and look into new categories and new demographics, females? Have you guys ever made female stuff or?
Yeah, we have it at one point in time, but that's definitely something. I think, you know, if we added female line to our brand, we could probably double the business in a couple of years. But we've said that it's not that simple, right? You need a whole new infrastructure, a whole new language. It kind of changes your brand DNA a little bit, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just a mindset. Maybe it's just a block in my own mind. But I think for the next, you know, we've grown massively this year. You know, we're 12 years old and we've nearly doubled our business this year. And I think it's just because we've been digital focused. And then, you know, we've got the foundations right. We've got our supply chain right. We've got our merchandise management right, our demand planning. We've got an amazing culture. All comes down to people. We'd never be able to do that if I had a shit culture. We've got an amazing team, amazing people. Clarity is everything. So we've got this whole thing where we over communicate within the business, and then obviously all marketing, right? You can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, you ain't got no business. So
how good was ROAS during COVID when everyone wasn't spending any money on marketing? For our Facebook ad spend was so cheap.
Yeah,
we ran out of product. I was filthy because I just wanted to keep loading up into Facebook ads.
Oh, bro, great problem to have, man. That's why you needed a demand planner, man.
Oh, no, fuck, I'm learning, bro. I'm learning.
Worth their weight in gold.
So last sort of question from me. I got a couple Q&As from fans and stuff as well, but how do you spend your day? What is it?
So I wake up, I live out in, so obviously it's what we were saying off air. Our office is based next to in Morningside, next to Eden Park. So we're based there. So I live out in a place called Piha. For those that don't know, Piha.
Oh, you all the way out there, bro?
Yeah, man. So I live out there. My wife really wanted to live there. I was very anti it, and it was honestly the best move we made as a family. So that's 35 minutes away. So I either start super early, like 6 o'clock, and it takes me 35 minutes, or I start a little bit later, around 9, drop my kids to school, start a little bit later. And then always got the audio book or a podcast. So just like university on wheels every single day, and get to work. And I've already kind of mapped out what I want to do. So I'll just like talk to, production, and then Will, who's our head of digital. I'll talk to those guys, talk to the team, and then I just kind of tackle the day, do what needs to be done. I focus on outcomes, not tasks, because I think if you focus on tasks, you just get busy being busy, but you're not actually being productive. You're not moving the needle. So I'm just outcome focused. So it means I do less, but what I do, it actually moves the needle forward. And then I go to the gym maybe 4 times a day at lunch. So I don't really have lunch, sit down, I go to the gym. So just, hour and a half, cardio, lifting a bit of weight, just changes my physiology, and I feel fantastic, And then finish work, whether it be 6 o'clock or whatever, 5 o'clock, go home. Like last night, went home at 6, went for a surf with my kids. Our Piha waves were pretty good. Just kind of connect with nature, and then have dinner with my family and chill with my wife. And then I try to do a bit of reading as well before I go to bed. Usually in the morning as well, I forgot. So I do a lot of breath work, that Wim Hof. Deep breathing. And then I do that, and then I get into meditation. So I really focus on 3 things I'm grateful for. So that way, if you're in a grateful state and a happy state, you can't be miserable. You know what I mean? How disgusting is it seeing real rich, wealthy people that are miserable? It's like, dude, you've got get your shit together. You know what I mean? I just don't want to be. I don't want to be like that. I want to be. I'm not saying that. I just want to make sure that I'm always focused on what I'm grateful for and what I do have, rather than focused on what I don't have. So I really try to start my days like that, and then I just have a bulletproof coffee, so black coffee with butter and MCT oil, and then I pop a few supplements, rhodiola, which is amazing for cognitive function, and a supplement called Brahmi, which is really good for cognitive function. And then and L-theanine, which is an amino acid from green tea, so without the caffeine, so it kind of gets you into that flow state. And I don't eat till so I intermittent fast till like 1 o'clock. So, and then I'll have the protein shake, and then all go, bro. Yeah. And then in my weekends, just chill with the friends. I don't really drink anymore because my wife's been sober for a year. So I don't really drink, and then I just try to enjoy life, bro. Yeah, hang with my family, go see my parents on Sundays. Pretty simple, bro. Yeah, it's good.
Fuck, I love it, bro. I love it. All right, I'm going to give you a couple of questions from people. When's the podcast coming back?
Yeah, man, we just had a bit of a break just with COVID and just being focused on, you know a bit of anyone, we're heading into the selling season. And silly season, should I say? Silly/selling season. Christmas coming up, Black Friday. So we're doing a lot of work there. So we had a bit of, since we've grown, nearly 8% this year, because of systems, things got broken. So I've been spending a lot of time fixing that. And now I think we've got a real good structure in place. So we're going to start ripping back into the podcast. I've got a few episodes lined up already. This will be one of them, if you don't mind.
Yeah, 100, take it, bro.
Yeah, bro. Nah, back in it, man. Back in it. Yeah. Full and fast.
Black Friday, how far do you plan for that? This is just a personal question. And do you create original product for that as well, or is it just kind of trying to get rid of old stock?
Bit of a mixture. This year we're actually going to be doing a Black Friday drop. So black Letterman, black boxer, black hood, black socks, just making sure that we're still doing the drops within it. We usually talk about it, maybe 4 months in advance to see if there's actual additional stock that we need to be purchasing for that specifically. But now, we're going to have everything locked and loaded by mid next week. We've been planning pretty aggressively on it for the last 3-4 weeks. And that's just in terms of the team, the structure, what are going to be the stress points of the business. Because once you head into Black Friday, you're straight into Christmas, which is just a hectic season. So therefore, customer service is going to get really squeezed. Warehouse is going to get squeezed, digital is going to get squeezed, accounting is going to get squeezed. Those are retail is going to get squeezed. So those are the areas of the business that we're really focusing on. But yeah, we're trying to plan it as much in advance as possible. I'd love to get to the point where we don't do it. I just don't have the kahunas yet to do that.
Well, Black Friday.
Yeah, man. I'd love to just be screw you, not doing it.
Yeah, we're half contemplating not doing it this year, Because obviously amateur levels, but we'll probably do it anyway because people just expect it, don't they?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Consumer conditioning, man.
But how early do you got to launch now for a Black Friday?
We usually, so I think Black Friday is on the 27th, I believe, and we usually do it a few days before. So, maybe 3-4 days before, something like that.
I'm seeing some people go up now. Like, relax.
Oh, bro, relax. The thing is like that is because they've got deeper problems. You know what I mean? Like the thing is, if you're going on a Christmas sale or a Black Friday now, when you're in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, that's just an excuse for a deeper problem. You know what I mean?
Trying to get rid of stock, bro?
Yeah, bro. Absolutely. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah. People think, like, obviously when you run a brand, like, people always, why you guys never go on sale on that? It's like, we just don't need to. So it's a good problem for us to have here. And it dilutes your brand too, doesn't it?
If you're doing the fundamentals right, you don't need to go on sale, right? How often does Apple go on sale? How often does Mercedes go on sale? How often does Tesla go on sale? Bro, you can't even get their product. Even if you wanted to pay double, you can't get it. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you do that, you never have to go on sale. Going on sale is like a drug. And the thing is like, you feel damn good at the moment. It's a dopamine hit to the business and the cash flow, but the long-term effects are bad. You become hooked, you become a junkie, relationships fall off, and then your whole life just turns to shit.
Just a personal question as well. What's your most favorite product that you've ever made with I Love Ugly? Is it the late armor baseball shit? I feel like that's my favorite.
Yeah, I really like that, bro. But I think this leather goods collection that we got coming up, man, is beautiful. You know,
great marketing, great marketing, bro.
But it's like, it's Louis Vuitton quality, and it's just kind of nice to do something outside of just garments. You know what I mean? I really enjoy doing stuff outside of just garments, because I'm still fully involved in the whole product process. Because that's the currency of our brand. You know, if we've got crap products as well, no matter how good your marketing and how good the infrastructure is, you're going to fall short. But I'm really enjoying these leather goods that we're about to launch in a couple of weeks, man. It's been my favorite to date.
All right, got me sold. I'll buy one.
Nice, man.
In a saturated market, how do you stay relevant? We've sort of touched on this, but it's kind of a shorter version of this question.
Yeah. How do you stay relevant? I think it's also just being unique, being authentic. Don't sway to the trends and what other people are doing. Be bold, be experimental. Don't do any nude campaigns. You know, and just making sure that you're constantly schooling up about market trends and stuff. Because I think it's one thing, you don't have to kind of conform to them, but also at the same time, don't be ignorant to them. And I think, we've seen this with companies like, look at Kodak. Kodak could have easily pivoted to the digital camera market. They didn't, because they had tons of film that they had to sell. So they wanted to do that before going into that market. And now Kodak, I don't even know if they exist anymore. You know what I mean? And the market's moving so quickly nowadays, is you have to be relevant. You have to school yourself up about what's going on. That's how you stay relevant.
I heard I read a tweet from Kanye West one time. He said a hoodie's a hoodie, and that's how I genuinely believe clothes are, and everything above it is and you talk about how someone feels when they wear a white t-shirt from I Love Ugly. I feel like marketing and branding is how you stay relevant in a saturated market.
Yeah. Definitely, man. Definitely. Absolutely. And marketing is where, sorry to interrupt, marketing is where, a company will come along and they'll buy you for 20 times EBIT. You know what I mean? Because it's like the brand is the value. That's why creative directors and people like that, are so in demand, because it's like this invisible force, this aura around your brand. That's you can't fabricate that. You can't fake that. It's just, something special, when there's brands or there's a person, there's just something special about them. You can't fake that. Money can't just buy that off the shelf,
I find that now, like I only tend to buy brands that I do know the founder of, or I do know what their brand's about. I think it's super important right now. Like a lot of people don't realize when they go into a General Pants over here, and like we talked about vertical brands before, General Pants actually own all those brands in there, and it looks like you're getting it looks like you're getting a bunch of different options, but they're all just from the same supplier with a different name on it. So, and once someone told me that, I was like, and I started looking around, and all their product does start to look like very similar after a while.
Yeah. Well, those guys, the problem with those guys is the products. So what they, this, it's like, so they're a multi-brander, they get all the different brands, and are like, hey, the product from this brand sells real well. Let's just create a new brand and copy that product and just slap it in our stores. The problem with that is there's no soul. And it's like people they interact with that product or that brand, and it feels lifeless, you know what I mean? And I think you're so right. Like people now want to, more than ever, transparency, and also they want to invest. They're not only buying a product, but they want to actually invest their hard-earned money into that product. And you've got a better shot at it when you're, when you are actually being transparent and showing the process and doing things like this. You're better shot of surviving.
Did that happen with you guys in Culture Kings with your pants back in the day?
Well, they just back in the day, because they brought like, I think it was like 500 pairs, and they sold out, and they wanted to do another order, and we couldn't really fulfill it. But then we got a bunch of backlash from our consumer and also all our wholesalers. Like, you're in Culture Kings, you sold out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think those guys, they'll be the prime example. I'm pretty sure they duplicated that pant.
Oh yeah, 100% they did.
20 other in-house brand names on
it. Crazy. How do you deal with friends that don't support your business when you first starting out?
Did
you have that?
They're not friends, a true friends through thick and thin, maybe there's a little bit of friction to begin with, because you become a bit cocky or arrogant if you get a few wins, and then they get a bit jealous or whatever. But no, I don't have it anymore, man. I've got, the friends I have today are the friends that have stuck by me through thick and thin. The funny thing is when I went through all that shit in 2017, I lost a lot of friends. All of a sudden, they didn't want to hang out. They didn't want to be associated with someone that was going through failure. But it's just like, it's the hard times that really reveal the true characteristics and colors of people. You know what I mean? Same thing with your partner. I know, like my wife, we got closer during the hard times, and friends that don't support you, screw them. But it might just be maybe you're acting too arrogant and like a dick, or maybe you just need to talk to them as well.
That's true. Any up and coming brands in New Zealand that that's got your attention?
I think that Earls is doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, Louis doing well, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. They're pretty young in it, but I think they've got some good foundations there, man, to build off. It's that whole thing, right? Like, you can have an amazing brand, but if you don't have that foundation business acumen on top of it, then it doesn't go far. I'm not saying they don't have this, but who else is there? Man, you see a lot come and go.
100%.
The life cycle of a brand typically is probably a year or two. It's not many on my radar, really. Yeah, to be honest, I'm so focused on my brand, and I'm aware what's out there, but I'm not fixating on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I find when you start to look at other brands as well, they start to creep into your brand as well. Like you start to So I'm very similar. I just sort of stay in my own lane, and if any of these up and coming brands need help, I'll help them out. But yeah, I just stay in my own lane.
Totally, man. Like, there's a lot of brands I look for internationally. Like, you've got the Amy Leon Dore, you've got the
they're sick, bro. Yeah.
You've got. But I also look at stuff out of industry as well. So I try to draw a lot of inspiration on, like, say, musician. I like what Kanye's doing just in general. You know what I mean? I love that stuff. Like what Joe Rogan's doing. I like what Cause is doing. I like, just a bunch just outside of just industry. I think it's super important, because that's where you get the uniqueness. And as you said, without actually consciously realizing it, if you're only focusing on, say, such and such brand, eventually that will start creeping into what you do, and you end up looking like a replica.
So true. You talked about Kanye West, and one of the questions was here, did you get the Kanye effect when he was wearing your pants?
Yeah, what's the Kanye effect?
I think it must just be increasing sales. It must be like sort of that Joe Rogan bump.
Yeah, not really, because it wasn't. I think if it was a hoodie that said "I love ugly,"
yeah, true.
Different. Yeah, pants silhouette. I don't know. Anyone can claim that, really. I know we did when we got the ASAP Rocky, because it was like the distinguishable triangle on the back of it, and he was wearing it South by Southwest and Coachella, and he was like, bumping them was his favorite pant, and that was pretty easy just because of the triangle. But for this Kanye thing, not as much as I'd like to. I'd love that though. That'd be great.
Last question. My Instagram ads aren't working. What am I doing wrong? One, do you know what you're doing? That's the fucking first question.
Do you know what you're doing? Maybe the creative sucks, or maybe just the product is not that good. I think you got to ask yourself these questions. You know what I mean? I think the best thing to do is actually, in any business, just asking people that aren't your friends and not your mother, would you buy this product and how much would you spend for it? Spend on it, and ask people to be damn honest. If you feel that people aren't going to be honest, get them to write their answers and put it in the hat anonymously, and that will give you the answer. We always have this thing when we make our products is we ask staff, would you buy this? Not would you wear this or do you like this? Would you actually buy this? And get some pretty revealing answers. But if your Facebook ads aren't working, yeah, man, you just got to go back, unpick it, figure out why.
Yeah, there's obviously there's always three parts to an ad, like the creative, their targeting, and the actual product itself. So, and you're spot on. Like, if Gary Vee talks about this all the time, like if you do marketing well and your product's not good, you're just going to put yourself out of business a lot quicker.
Yeah, man, absolutely, bro. And as we said, you can have the best marketing in the world, but if you're leading them to a product that sucks, or you're getting returns or terrible reviews, then man, that's it's not going to last very long.
Do you start, when you put the handwriting and the notes in a hat, start tracking down their handwriting?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, bro, Devin, what are you up to?
All the spelling errors in there and that?
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
All right, bro. I just want to thank you for jumping on, giving me your time, giving me your knowledge. I've always been a fan of I Love Ugly as a consumer, and now I'm a fan of you as an entrepreneur and a leader, and someone I look up to as a leader and entrepreneur, and also I'll always be a consumer, bro. I love ugly. I love ugly.
I appreciate it, man, and the feeling is mutual. I love the hustle and the online presence as well. What you're doing. And you're also playing the long game as well, which I think people need to take note. People try stuff, and if they don't get that massive success in the first month or two, they quit. You got to keep pursuing it, man. Success doesn't just stumble across you. You got to pursue it, and it's a journey. It's not a destination. And one of the worst things that can happen to you is short-term success, because it kind of tricks you into thinking that you're a god and that you've got the Midas touch. But actually, short-term success can actually be one of the biggest. It can be one of the biggest failures. It can be your Achilles heel. So, be patient to all the listeners. Thank you so much, bro, for having me on. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the love and support. So it's fantastic.
We'll catch up in a year, eh? We'll see where we're at in a year's time. It'd be interesting.
Bro, would love to, man. Absolutely, brother.
All right, brother. Thanks for jumping on.
Easy, bro. You take care.